21 months ago, I withdrew from William & Mary. 21 months ago, I couldn't walk up the stairs without support. 21 months ago, my blood pressure was plummeting. I had searing pain in my limbs, and I was always inexplicably exhausted. I couldn't function anymore. I sat in a lot of cold chairs in brightly lit doctors' offices, desperately searching for answers. I was poked and prodded with needles, hooked up to strings to some beeping monitor. What was doing this to my body? After countless doctor appointments with physician assistants, internists, cardiac assessments, rheumatology testing, chiropractic manipulations, it was all concluded that it was mainly the result of one thing: PTSD. You see, it had been a long time coming. I had been struggling with my mental health for a while now. I was seeing a professional, had tried a slew of different medications, but what was I supposed to do with this sadness? I tried so hard to paddle past the sinking feeling, fought to salvage a day of relative functionality, which I used to profusely apologize to the 56 unread text messages in my phone, and to maybe complete reading I'd neglected from class. I wanted so hard to dismiss my feelings, but they were volatile, begging to be understood and listened to. My therapist, Christine, explained that my body was giving up on me physically because of this mind-body connection. And it was about that time, that spring, my body had finally caught up with my mental state and reflected on the outside what was happening on the inside. It screamed, "I've had enough," and forced me to sit down and confront what I had been neglecting. So I had to make a choice. I could either continue to resent my feelings, or I could choose to consciously and deliberately give myself a type of compassion and unconditional understanding I had never given myself before. I stopped fighting my feeling, instead started fighting for myself, and the entire world changed. I realized that my post-traumatic stress disorder was only the result of a terrified little girl having to hardwire in her brain chemistry that she needed to be guarded always. So I thanked myself for the protection with feelings like anxiety and fear, and instead of repulsing them, welcomed them, so that we could sit down at a table and manage whatever life was throwing at us. But why did it take me so long to come to this realization? Why was I so hell-bent on convincing myself that this wasn't actually happening? Well, I think it was probably the same reason my legs were trembling as I meagerly approached my parents to attempt to explain why I had to withdraw from the undergraduate education they had worked so hard to give me. I remember my dad's brow furrowed up in a knot of anger and frustration as he remarked that this was only the product of my lack of self-discipline and willpower. I quickly learned that mental health was not only foreign to them, but illegitimate. I mean, me, their young, smart, intelligent, privileged daughter that they've afforded everything to, is depressed? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. I can't blame them, because it was shortly after this I came across a very, very frightening fact. According to a study conducted in India just last year, around 71% of those who were aware of what mental health was showed evidence of stigma against it. I come from a South Asian heritage, highly rooted in our collectivist nature. We're a tightly woven community and value things like selflessness, unity, and conformity, but in turn, highly stigmatize mental health. I was falling out of the norm, an abnormality they had no idea how to address. It had only been taught and reinforced to them as a product of a lack of self-discipline and willpower. But it's not exclusive to just my South Asian heritage. It's everywhere. It's covert. Ignorance and stigma to mental health hides in statements like, "Girl, "You're a psychotic AF," or, "Oh my God, I'm going to shoot myself. This test is going to be so hard." It hides in jokes about needing to go to a mental institution, or think of another one. Oh, calling someone bipolar because of something just as simple as a mood change. Had I also internalized the stigma? Is that why I had fought with myself for as long as I did? Well, I needed my parents to come to the same realization I had. So as I do in most times of need, I turned to a friend and I had a heart-to-heart. A heart-to-heart. You've had one of those vulnerable, depth-filled conversations that somehow leave you feeling secure, fulfilled, and whole. After talking to my auntie in Husney, I found some strength to start yet another conversation with my parents, and resilience to tolerate any potential blowback. As it turns out, science tells us that feeling listened to and being understood quite literally changes our physiology to heal us. As my favorite psychiatrist, Dr. van der Kolk, explains, humans are profoundly social creatures. Having our emotions understood lights up our limbic brain system. A revelation. So how do we capitalize on this power of social support? I knew I wasn't the only one who was struggling. The answer to this question led to the birth of a platform called Dil to Dil, which in Hindi means heart to heart. Everyone see that okay? Yeah. As any good millennial, of course, I turned to social media for the answer, right? So I went to Instagram in hopes of creating a safe space where people could share their real, authentic narrative with mental health. I saw an opportunity for people not only to conquer and kind of claim their own struggles, but it will also have a great opportunity to teach the rest of us empathy and compassion and empower us to do the same. I remember my finger hovering over the post button on the app, wondering whether I'd be socially ostracized for publicly admitting to the Instagram world that I had PTSD. I was terrified. But what a life would I live if I let fear control this beautifully opportune moment to conquer and claim my truth? All I could ask myself was to trust in the process, and also trust in the extraordinary human abilities like unconditional love, compassion, and solidarity. So, my very, very sweaty thumb pressed that button, and boy, did that act of courage pay off. Post by post, as I told my story, countless amounts of people, hundreds and thousands, engaged and became a part of this community. It was within the first couple weeks that I had 5 months worth of people scheduled to also share their story. I mean, it was the most revolutionary thing to me. Why don't we capitalize more on this simple truth? That vulnerability is strength, gives strength, creates strength, and reinforces strength. Our Dil to Dil community has now nearly grown to 2,000 people strong, spanning all across the globe. We're rapidly expanding with a wonderfully dedicated board, funneling many creative ideas into how we can continue to destigmatize mental health and create access for the resources we need. Not only have the effects of the conversations that we've started spanned across country borders, but they've also hit a lot closer to home. It's with complete confidence that I can say it's with pride and not shame that my mom and dad are sitting right there in the audience. My progress has not been linear at the least, don't get me wrong. But so many times, through the strength of those who have had the courage to share it through this platform, I'm reminded about how truly resilient the human body and spirit is, and how significantly much I've persevered through. So, I challenge you all. Challenge this idea that sadness is futile, and that frustration is negativity. Listen to your body, listen to your mind. Honor your reactions, because they are only a reflection of everything it is that makes up who you are now. Speak openly, freely, unabashedly, and unapologetically about whatever it is you feel, because you never know how a heart-to-heart may so impactfully save someone's life. I wish I could say this was a revelation that took place in 1 hour of sitting on my therapist's very, very comfy couch. But it took and is taking months, years of intentional patience, kindness, and acceptance. I wish I could also tell you that I'm fully cured and with my health completely restored. But I can do you one better. Even though it's not, 21 months later, I am working hard as hell every single day towards wellness and intend on continuing to help thousands do the very same. So, with much love from my heart to yours, thank you.